this is a diverse plan I had to come up with after looking at demographics, ACT scores, and attendance rates. So yeah, here we go. Alright, so Cherokee County High School's information, we have overall 455 students, roughly. We service grades 9 through 12. We have 23 certified employees, including 15 core teachers, 2 career tech teachers, 1 librarian, 3 physical education and health teachers, and 2 special education teachers. Our student demographics are roughly 77% white, 12% multiracial, 8.5% black or African American, and 2% Latino. Our ACT over the last 3 years points to an improved trend that actually beats out the state average. In 2016, we had an 18.1, which was outscored by the state average of 18.4. In 2017, we had an 18.3, which outpaced the state at 18.1. And then in 2018, we had an 18.1, and the state scored an 18 even. So we have seen some variation over the last 3 years, but overall, we have been able to improve compared to the state average scores. Now, when we break that down by race, we can see that there are some concerning trends. White students have been able to keep their ACT scores relatively even over the last 3 years, but we have seen some variance in black or African American, Latino, and multiracial. African American students have seen a slight increase over the 3 years, but still remain well below, on average, the rest of races and demographics. Latino students have seen a greater variation than any other group. In 2016, they scored a 17. In 2016, they scored a 17. 2017, they decreased to 13. And then in 2018, we were able to boost their scores back up to a 19.5, leading all racial groups within Cherokee County. Multiracial individuals showed the same rough trend, except for their scores in 2016 were higher than any other year. So the concerning trend we have is we do have a lower overall score for minority students within Cherokee County High School. There's more fluctuation in the scores of minority students within Cherokee County High School, which is what we are trying to engage these students and improve those scores overall. Now, if we look at ACT achievement based on preparation, this is where we notice a trend that we would expect to be present. And this is that students who are at core score higher than those who are not at core level. And core level, of course, means that they have taken the core classes that are expected of them by the time they take the ACT. So students have taken all of their math, English, science, and social studies classes by the point they take the ACT. Students who are not at core score lower across all years and all races. Now, absenteeism is another huge issue we have within Cherokee County High School. When looking at the Alabama State Department of Education report card, we scored lowest in our county for student presence in the building, meaning we had the highest rate of absenteeism. We scored a 27.99, while our other schools within our county all scored less than 20% absenteeism. And this is a big issue that affects all of our scores. One of the key components we look at with this is the breakdown by race. And when we look at race, African Americans have a much higher concentration of absenteeism than white students. Roughly 1/8 of our absentees are African American students, while only less than 1/10 of our students are African American. So what we see is we have more students out of school that are of a minority status than we do of white students. Now, the next thing we look at as a great issue in our school is poverty. 58.6, roughly 58.7 of our students live in poverty. That equates to 253 students out of the 455. 9.23% of those students, of our students are homeless, roughly 42 students. So this is a great issue we have, especially when it comes to access to internet and other resources that they need. Now, our intervention strategies for low testing scores. One of the things that I talked about with one of our administrators and our counselor is to start having parties for students to benchmark on STAR reading and math tests. Half days for students taking the ACT test during the initial test window. And then breakfast and lunch provided for students taking the AC test in the initial test window, as well as recognition with local news and school announcements for students who score above the state average. Our intervention strategy for absenteeism. To decrease absenteeism, we will reward students with perfect attendance after every quarter or midterm. The rewards will include free admittance to sporting events, recognition with local media and school announcements, and then possibly gift cards at the end of the grading period from local businesses. The next intervention strategy we have, there we go, is for improving engagement. This is our last one. The thing we've done at Cherokee County High School over the last 2 years is teacher advocacy. Teachers will retain their homerooms for the entirety of that student's career at Cherokee County High School. We have these things called Warrior Wednesdays, where our homeroom teachers meet with their students midway through the day. We've implemented these monthly meetings with students as part of the program to cultivate a relationship with all students on campus. And the other part of this will be a professional learning plan. Teachers will begin a monthly book study of Dr. Ruby Payne's A Framework for Understanding Poverty. During this book study, we will do discussions, and we will have worksheets that we will complete as we read through this book together as a faculty. And it will be entered into our PLP through Educate Alabama. All right, thank you.